Chapter 29 of Buffalo Bill, From Prairie to Palace. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. Buffalo Bill, From Prairie to Palace by John M. Burke. Appendix. Colonel W. F. Cody, Buffalo Bill, and the London Workingmen's Association. On Saturday evening, October 1st, 1892, a conference of delegates from the various branches of the London Workingmen's Association was held at the Wild West, when an illuminated address was presented to Colonel W. F. Cody. The chair was occupied by Mr. George Potter, President of the Association, who was supported by Mr. Fred Whetstone, Vice President, Mr. F. Wigington, Treasurer, Mr. Robert Wilson, Secretary. There was a large attendance. Colonel Cody was accompanied by Major John M. Burke and Mr. Nate Salisbury. Mr. George Potter, in presenting the address, which congratulated Buffalo Bill on the splendor of his show, its value from an educational standpoint, and the success which had attended his visit, now fast drawing to a close, said that those whom he represented admired the Colonel's pluck and appreciated his indomitable courage. He had taught us a lesson which would not be forgotten, and Buffalo Bill would ever be a household word with us. Loud cheers. Mr. Potter and those with him expressed the hope that after Buffalo Bill had visited the World's Fair at Chicago and settled down in his own country to dwell among his own people, he would enjoy the remainder of his life in contentment, prosperity, and peace. Loud cheers. Mr. Potter then read the following address. Colonel W. F. Cody. Sir, the members of the London Workingmen's Association, representing large bodies of workingmen, have a friendly word to say at a time when your visit to this country is fast drawing to a close. They desire to approach you in a spirit of congratulation, and to place on record their thorough appreciation of the enterprise and the ability displayed by you in the conception and creation of the brilliant, realistic spectacle known as the Wild West, fully realizing its magnitude and its value from an educational standpoint as a vivid picture of past life on the American frontier. To those whose domestic cares and necessities prevent them from enjoying the luxury of travel and its acknowledged advantages in forming proper ideas of foreign peoples and strange races, your enterprise has brought not only entertainment for the moment, but has enabled thousands to enjoy more fully the books, histories, paintings, and sculpture that come under their observation. This alone is something of future value to every nation you have visited, among all classes, as well as the fraternal feeling of the general brotherhood of man, and your introduction of national and racial differences in one body for mutual instruction produces. Neither the costly outlay through which these results have been effected by the difficulties of presenting the best specimens of these primitive peoples, nor the talent displayed by the performers could have secured the enormous audiences, had not careful attention been paid to fidelity of depiction, the mastery of detail, and ample provision for the comfort of the public. That the marked success of the undertaking is in a large measure due to your own personal supervision, affords an additional ground for offering our need of congratulation to you as a working man. With this we couple our sincere hope that upon your future retirement you may find, in well-earned repose, no reason to regret your visits to England of 1887 and 1892, and you may rest assured you carry with you the good wishes of the millions whom you have so liberally entertained. We are, on behalf of the Association, George Potter, President, Fred Whetstone, Vice President, F. Wigington, Treasurer, Robert Wilson, Secretary. 14 Fetter Lane, London, October 1st, 1892. Mr. Fred Whetstone, late Chairman of the Amalgamated Society of Engineers, in supporting the address, expressed a wish from the bottom of his heart that the Colonel would have a safe and glorious passage and a successful career in Chicago. Loud cheers. Colonel Cody said he deeply felt the honor they had bestowed upon him in the kindly expressions contained in the address they had presented him with that evening. To deserve their goodwill was a source of satisfaction greater than mere words could express. Cheers! He hoped that time and opportunity would enable him to extend them an American hospitality in his own land, where sunshine and prosperity met men in every walk of life. Cheers! He hoped they would excuse him, for he was very ill, but presently he would try to come up smiling, whether he felt it or not. Loud cries of "Bravo!" The delegates then sat down to a substantial tea, after which the following toasts were proposed. Mr. Robert Wilson, secretary to the association, in a very interesting speech, proposed health and prosperity to Mr. Nate Salisbury. This was succeeded by Mr. T. P. Lind of the East End organizations, and supported by Mr. Thomas Cornish, mining engineer. The toast was accepted with loud cheers and accompanied with musical honors. Mr. Nate Salisbury, who was most enthusiastically received, responded in a powerful and eloquent speech, in which he referred to the friendly feelings that existed between the peoples of England and America, and concluded by expressing his pleasure at being present that evening. Mr. F. Wigington, of the lightermen and watermen of the River Thames, proposed health and prosperity to Major John M. Burke, which was seconded by Mr. Thomas Armstrong, pattern makers, supported by Mr. H. Lee Lefevre, president of the Balloon Society, and carried with acclamation. Major Burke, who was received with great cordiality, responded in a humorous and interesting speech, which was heartily received. During the evening each member was presented with a portrait of Buffalo Bill, bearing his autograph, after which they witnessed a performance of the Wild West show, and all together enjoyed a most pleasant entertainment. End of chapter 29. Chapter 30 of Buffalo Bill from Prairie to Palace. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. Buffalo Bill from Prairie to Palace by John M. Burke. An episode since the return from Europe. When abroad, Buffalo Bill heard so many officers of the army of France, England, and other countries ask about the Wild West of America, its game and wonderful scenery, that he extended an invitation to a number of gentlemen of rank and title to join him, with others from this country, on an extended expedition to the Grand Cañon of the Colorado, and thence on through Arizona and Utah to Salt Lake City on horseback. Various causes prevented many from accepting the invitation, but a number assembled at Scout's Rest Ranch, the home of Colonel Cody at North Platte, Nebraska, and started up the long and adventurous trail of 1,000 miles in the saddle. The following are those who went on the expedition: Colonel W. F. Cody, Buffalo Bill; Colonel Frank D. Baldwin, U.S. Army; Colonel W. H. McKinnon, Grenadier Guards, England; Major St. John Mildmay, Grenadier Guards; Colonel Allison Naylor, Washington, D.C.; Major John M. Burke, Arizona John; Colonel Prentice Ingraham, Washington, D.C.; Hon. George P. Everhart, Chicago, Illinois; Elder Daniel Siegmiller, Utah; Elder Junius Wells, Utah; Robert H. Halson, Pony Bob; Orton H. Bull, Nebraska; Edward Bradford, Denver, Colorado; William B. Dowd, New York; John Hance, Guide of the Grand Cañon of the Colorado. Going by rail to Denver, then down into New Mexico to Flagstaff, Arizona, the party found there a wagon outfit and horses, with an escort of nearly half 100 Mormon scouts, guides, and cowboys. They took the trail to the Grand Cañon of the Colorado, hunting as they went along. Then, by a long flank movement through the Navajo country, they crossed at Lee's Ferry, thence going on to the Kaibal Mountains, viewing the grandest scenery on earth, and enjoying the sport of hunting bear, mountain lions, mountain sheep, elk, deer, antelope, turkey, ducks, and catching fine trout and other fish. Caught in several blizzards on the mountains, and following unknown trails, many perilous adventures were met with on the expedition, but fortunately no life was lost, though one adventure well nigh proved fatal to Major Mildmay of the Grenadier Guards, giving an opportunity to Colonel Cody to show his nerve in sudden danger and his skill with the lasso as well; for but for his quick act horse and rider would have run over a precipice a couple of thousand feet down to the valley below. The expedition left the trail at Salt Lake City and returned via Wyoming and Colorado back to the east, thus ending Colonel Cody's last trail upon the frontier, though if there should occur another border war he would at once be found at his old post. End of Chapter 30. End of Buffalo Bill from Prairie to Palace, by John M. Burke.